Soleil from the Sunny Sisters. Alright, and today I am here with my AOW, the cougar. So I was kind of wondering what to do for this, and I started mindlessly doodling of cougars. And so then I thought, well, since I'm having such a hard time learning how to draw these things, maybe I could teach my fellow homeschoolers how to draw cougars, because they're a very unique animal to draw. And if you like drawing, you'll know that this is very, very interesting challenge, because they're really different. Whoop! Give me your pencil. All right, so let's get started. First, you've got to think of a pose when drawing anything, really. I mean, if you're drawing a princess, then you got to think of how you want them posing, elegantly, whatever. With this cougar, I think I'm going to have them crouching low. So I'm going to draw this down here. Whoop. Got some lead. So crouching, the butt of the cougar is high up. You might know what I'm thinking about. The butt of the cougar is kind of high up, tail's low, most likely crouching to get prey. So draw the circle for the head. Kind of have this weird box thing that you do with all cougars. I mean, if the cougar's facing this way, if they have kind of a short snout, a big head, they have big blocky heads. You kind of draw them like that. I mean, that's a horrible eye, but you get what I'm saying. Nose, mouth, whiskers, eye. So that's kind of a cougar head, so you want to draw that basically in. And you also want to decide if it's from the side or if it's 3/4, because if it's 3/4, it's going to look something like this. You can't see the other eye, but you can't see just one eye either. You see this like little bridge part of the head. That's what makes it look 3D-ish. Mine is going to be a bit more 2D-like. Now this is the most important part. This is when you start breaking your cougar down into shapes. Cougars don't have super long necks like dragons or whatever. So when you're doing this, you gotta add the chest that pokes out, the belly, and then down into the tail. Now this might look weird right now, but it's gonna change. So this cougar has back on its hunches, whatever you call it. So this is the front paw. It's kind of resting on that paw. The shoulder blade is huge in cougars, as you will see. Whoop! Get back here, pencil. The shoulder blade is huge on cougars. It is a very distinct part of your drawing. So when drawing these guys, or gals, whatever it is, you gotta make sure to make the shoulder blade huge. And even if you don't see it in the drawing, draw it underneath so you can get an idea of the skeletal structure. And then up here for the back leg, there's a very unique shape that you can use when drawing all animals with that sort of like back leg like dogs have. So you draw this, I don't know how to explain it, it's kind of like a box, but then it comes down more vertically, so then you can draw the back leg. This is an amazing key when it comes to drawing back legs that bend like an elbow would, but like reverse, it's like a reverse elbow. But it's not this, it's this bending, like a foot. Either way, when it comes to drawing these sort of back legs, this is a key shape. Because no matter what it does here, see, there's that shape again. This is a little bit different because you're looking at it from a different angle, but look, you can see it here. In all sizes, it works really well. So always make sure you do that. Sorry for the bump, you guys. Then cougars have huge paws. They have ginormous paws. If you've ever seen like a stuffed cougar or whatever, you will know they have ginormous paws. So you want to make sure, big paws, really big paws. Especially if you're stylistic like me, you want to make the paws look bigger than you think they should. It really compensates for the rest of the drawing. So then you draw in the paw. Got that there. With back legs, cougars are very muscular animals typically, so you want their back legs to be relatively big and broad. And so that's kind of what you want to see. Might make this paw just a little smaller. There we go. And again, sorry guys, apologize for the bumps. So now that you've got your basic cougar shape, you want to add in the tail. So the tail is kind of strange because some think like, oh, do you want it bigger at the end? Do you want it smaller at the end? Or you just want it like a tube? Answer is the tube. You want the tube. So I gotta make that a little bit bigger. Also, unlike like dragon tails where they get like almost like a triangle where it's fatter at the end, pointier at the end. Wait, it's fatter down by the butt and it's pointier down by the end of the tail. This is different. The tail length, the tail thickness stays the same until it like fuses to the end. So that's more like what you want for a cougar tail. That cougar's standing straight up. All right, so. And that's another thing, you know, when you're drawing tails, they need to be fluid. That's why you need to follow, like I said, the line of action. You know, the little whoop, there's the butt. You can already imagine it. That's what you need to think about when you're doing line of actions. You should already be able to imagine how you want your character to fit into the line. So then you're gonna go up here in the face and you're gonna add some ears. Cougars have tiny ears. Ears are tiny, which I think is so cool about their character, you know, their whole animal thing, you know, that is that their ears are so small, but they're such deadly predators, which is really interesting. I also failed when I first did a cougar. I thought I should do their snouts more like I would do a dragon's and have them bigger, but really they have very, 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 very stubby snouts. Their faces barely come out. They are not very elongated. So unlike some house cats, cougars do not have very, how was I gonna say that? Big mouth areas. But their heads are huge. They have big blocky heads. Well, sort of. I mean, if you're doing stylistic, then I guess you're gonna want them pretty blocky. Anyways, now we're gonna draw in the eye. The eye is kind of strange. Cougars have very small eyes, at least compared to their head and body. So like with most animals, you're gonna wanna draw the eye in. And then you're gonna get down to the facial features. Gosh, that's hard. Wow, what a stroke. All right, so then you're gonna draw in the mouth. So this cougar's not gonna be happy. I'm gonna have whiskers there. Focused intently on, just watch their gaze. It's looking at something right here. So it's about what they're crouching down to look at. All right, now here's for the final step. And I just got tipped about this because normally I leave the sketch like this, go over with line art. To make it easier to do line art, you want to take a kneadable eraser, preferably a kneadable eraser, because if you use this sort of eraser, it's really hard to lightly erase efficiently, especially since it erases in lines instead of one big blob. So we want to get out your, big blob. Do a little bit of rolling till you get this, and then you want to lightly roll it over your sketch. This really helps so you can still see the lines, but they're not as dark. So now you can go over for what is called the final sketch. I'm just gonna go lightly over the line you think is best. Drawing the chin there. That. This also helps it to look more fluid, especially if there's just like this whole area you don't like that tail. I was not happy with that tail. Then you can easily fix that. Another big part about drawing cougars, especially with this, is that since they have such a unique body, you can go as stylistic or as realistic as you want. Obviously, pretty stylistic. Huge hind leg. That doesn't bother me. I love that. So if you're gonna go for something more realistic, then I recommend you get a reference picture since they are so unique. Big paw in there. This may still seem rough to some people, but for me, this is a really nice sketch so far. I do want to fix up that front paw though. All right. At this point, you're not gonna have this showing much except for the small crease that indicates that this is in the front. Otherwise, either leg could look like it was in the front if it wasn't for this line and this line. So then go back around the eye. I'm gonna make it look a little bit more shocked than angry this time. You know, a little bit more intent, although that kind of looks the same. All right, and then grab the little part. Whoop! So there you have it. That is basically how you sketch out cougars. My biggest tip would be look for the shapes. Find that rhombus, that rectangle, that weird blob thing for paws. I don't know. So when drawing cougars or any animal or person, look for shapes. That is my biggest, thing for you, is to look for the shapes in everything. I mean, just look at this person. I mean, you have semicircles, sort of, kind of weird blobbish things. Have bigger semicircles, a triangle. Even looking in faces, when you draw faces, like regular human faces, you have the circle, triangle to mark the cheekbones down. Then you kind of have this roundish part though by the cheeks. So you have this down part around cheeks. Then you have this point where it's the chin, cheeks, around, head. Then you draw out the facial structure, and you can use those same lines. So when you're thinking of anything, look for the shapes in it, and I promise you, can't go wrong. I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial with cougars. I hope it helped you with whatever you're doing for your animal of the week, which is the cougar. So I hope you had a lot of fun. I hope you learned something good about this amazing animal. One other thing, if you are drawing this, I highly recommend you get a reference picture. I had to because, they're kind of a complicated animal. So I hope you have a lot of fun with the animal of the week, and I will continue to post more on our Facebook page. Goodbye.